Hey, good evening, everyone. I think we are live on Facebook. I'm going to give some people a chance to share the stream if they want to, and we will begin in like 30 seconds or so. You ready, Morgan?
I'm ready, yes.
Okay. Hey, good evening, everyone. I am Scott Hottenstein, the president of the Democratic Public Education Caucus of Florida. And welcome to tonight's live stream program. We're calling it Morgan's Story. We have my former student, Morgan, here, who is gonna talk about how the Don't Say Gay bill affected her personally. This is, I think, the second or third, depending on how you count, of our Facebook Live programs. A couple of weeks ago, we had the 3 Democratic candidates for governor talk about public education issues. Last Monday, we had 2 great candidates from Brevard County, Aaron Dunn and Kim Huff, talk about their races for school board in Brevard. And we have lots of great events coming up. We'll have Hillsborough County School Board candidates, Orange County School Board candidates, some incumbent school board members running for re-election, and other programs on public education funding and on students with special needs. So check out our Mobilize page. That's where we schedule and let people know about all these events, and sign up and join us if you can. If you can't, all the events, you could go back and watch the video on Facebook. So follow our Facebook page if you don't, or you could see it on our YouTube channel. And you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and not miss any videos. So with all of that out of the way, Morgan, thank you for coming tonight. Thanks for chatting with us. How long have we known each other? How do we know each other?
I think we've known each other a little more than 6 years. I first got to know you personally through middle school track in 6th grade.
So the good old Lady Bolts team.
Yes.
And so you're on track for 3 years. What else?
You were my civics teacher in 8th grade and 7th grade, and then in 8th grade, I was your student assistant for that year.
Yep. And I also was your assistant coach for what sport?
Soccer. Yes.
Soccer.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we've known each other. So you're graduating here in what?
A week.
8 days.
Yeah.
And we've known each other since you started 6th grade. And for everyone out there, I think Morgan's a little nervous. I could tell just looking at her. But if the roots of the strength of our relationship do go back to her 6th grade year, and she was on the track team and she was pretty good at it, but I had a bias against running 6th graders in the 800-meter race. That was the longest race we had. I remember the first year I coached girls middle school track. It was my first year of teaching. I didn't know what I was doing, and some 6th grade girl volunteered to run the 800 meters. And at the end of the race, she was so exhausted, I literally had to like pick her up and hand her over the fence to her dad. And so I was like, I will never again run a 6th grader in an 800-meter race. But Morgan was so good, she made me change my mind. And the very first race, 800, they did mass start to save some time. there were probably 30 girls out there at least. And going around the first turn, some older girl who was behind her clipped her heel, and Morgan fell and you broke your arm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so it was another Mr. H handing a 6th grade student over to her dad to oops, sorry, I broke your daughter running track. And I forget, I don't even know what happened after that. You went to the hospital that night?
No, I went to school the next day. No, nothing.
Well, when did you find out your arm was broken?
I got signed out the next day, and got x-rays and then got casted that next day.
Okay, so you went to school,
Yeah.
but then you got signed out, found out it was broke, got the cast.
Yeah.
But then what did you do?
I came back after school was over to go to track practice.
You went to track practice. And the thing that got me, and it still sticks in my mind, when you fell, you broke your arm, but you also had some road rash. And I like literally I'd put a Band-Aid like on your knee that had like grass, stuck to your knee. And you came back to track practice and you're like, I didn't want to miss track. And you still had that same Band-Aid with that same piece of grass stuck to your knee. So I was like, this is a special Lady Bolt. She's got guts. She's awesome. So we've known each other for a long time. What, a month, 6 weeks ago?
Yeah.
We ran into each other. Where was that at?
We ran into each other at Barrington because I was volunteering to help with the soccer practices, and you were leaving from subbing. And we got to talking, decided we were going to go to lunch, catch up and everything. That was probably like a month or two ago.
Yeah. What was I bugging you about?
I don't know.
What was I looking for the result of?
My college decision? What?
Well, yeah, but you had asked me to write a letter of recommendation for you.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, have you heard? Have you heard? Have you heard? And yeah. And you're like, whatever, it's college, it's Ivy League, that's a minor point. But so we decided to go out to lunch, and I had promised you to help you get into Columbia. So we went into Ybor City, and I took you to Columbia and opened the door, and I said, I fulfilled my promise to you.
You did.
And then we were having a nice lunch. And what happened when we went to lunch?
We were talking about, I don't remember what we were talking about, but a former student was mentioned, and we were discussing something about their sexuality. And so I just like randomly, like during that conversation, mentioned that I too am part of the LGBTQ community. I don't remember what it was about, but yeah, just randomly told you.
Why would you do that?
Because I trust you. There's not a whole lot of adults that I've told, especially because I wasn't out. So yeah.
I think your cat's coming to say hello.
This is Aria.
Aria. Hi, Aria. I'm sure my cat's gonna come up. She hates when I do Zooms, and she'll stick her claw into my the small of my back here shortly. Is it important to be able to trust teachers? You talk about trust. Well, why trust? What's so important about trust?
Yes, I find it very important. I've only told, I believe, 2 teachers, and it just creates a safe space. And like I said, I only told 2 people. To only have 2 people in both middle and high school collectively that I felt comfortable enough to tell, I feel like was quite unfortunate. Okay, because I wasn't out. So I felt like I would receive a lot of judgment. So having someone I could trust to tell and like have that open line of communication was nice. And if I couldn't trust you, I simply wouldn't tell you. And I would just be blocking myself off from yet another person. So yes, trust is very important to me.
Um, is are two teachers, is that the right number, or is it too high or too low in your opinion?
Oh, in general,
Yeah.
too low. I think that there should be many more people, especially in public schools, that you should feel comfortable enough to talk to. Because even the other teacher I had was also a previous teacher. Like, I don't currently have a teacher that if I felt like I needed to talk to them during the school day, like there's not a specific person right now that I felt that I would go to and speak about it.
So like, why not? How do you evaluate a teacher for trust?
Well, confidentiality, one, because I wasn't comfortable with everyone knowing at school. Um, Also, just like feeling accepted by them and knowing that like they're open and care about their students. Um, just having like a personal connection with the teacher, I think.
Okay. And only two teachers. I mean, you're a pretty awesome student. Um, you know, I'm sure a lot of your teachers would say, "Oh yeah, Morgan, she's great," but you didn't feel. Yeah, I'm like surprised to hear you say that. Is school in general a place that you can trust?
Um, it it's complicated because in to an extent, um, this year I found a group of people that I really enjoyed talking to, and conversations about gender and sexuality were common and like natural between us. And so in that space at school, yes, I felt very comfortable. I trusted school as a safe space, but as a whole, um, not yet. I felt like it could have been if I was ready to come out and not, and like, I don't know how else to put it. Like, had I been more confident with myself, maybe, but because I wasn't, it was only that small area that I felt like I could trust at school.
Okay. So have things changed? Like, do you think school has gotten, I don't know, like, do you think schools become safer or less safe, in your opinion? Or is it that you've become more or less confident in yourself? Or what combination of that?
Um, since the bill was passed, it has gotten less safe to me, like definitely. Um, I haven't told many friends, so my confidence at school is still where it was before. And so now that the bill is passed, like teachers and other students who may overhear conversations I do have at school about it, it like almost validates their opinion, which they don't even have the right to form on me. But it like lets them know, like, yeah, you can discriminate against them, like just because I like girls too. Like it has gotten unsafe. Yes.
Okay. And does that affect your confidence? We're actually kind of, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you a question. You know, do you want to talk about your coming out process? And like, I was going to ask you, you know, are you fully out now?
Uh,
Um,
yeah, I can talk about that. My
okay.
coming out process has been slow. I came out to my mom first. I came out to her in October when I was applying to colleges. I wrote my Common App essay about my finding my sexuality, and so I told her first. I told, I believe, one other friend, and since then I have told a couple people. I told some of my extended family over winter break. I told my sister in October as well. She was the first one, not my mom. My sister was the first one I told, sorry. And I did not.
How did you tell your sister?
I told her twice. I went to the Harry Styles concert, and I told her. Harry Styles has been a big part of me feeling comfortable with my sexuality, and so I wanted to bring my pride flag, and so that's what I told her. I told her, hey Peyton, I want to bring my pride flag tomorrow to the concert, and she was like, okay, cool. I didn't know you had a pride flag. I think that's really cool. And then the next day, the day of the concert, we're getting ready, and I don't remember what I said, but she's like, oh, that's your pride flag, like your pride flag. I'm like, yes, that's what I meant. But yes, telling my sister.
So you had to come out twice to your sister.
Did. Yes.
How'd she take it?
She was happy for me. She was actually excited. I don't know why. She got all jumpy and hugged me and everything, but she's been supportive from the start. Yes, I love her.
Okay. And then you told your mom by writing an essay.
Yes, that was the most stressful essay I have ever written. I think that I was ready for somebody to know other than my sister. But I don't know that I was ready for her to know. So when I wrote the essay, I wrote it in a way that I felt was it encapsulated pretty much everything, so that there would be minimal left to question. And because I think I told her, I don't want to be asked about this when I get home, because I just sent it to her as a PDF. I wasn't even there when she read it. And I wasn't ready for the interrogation of questioning, because I felt like that might make me feel like I wasn't right. Does that make sense?
It does. Hey, I'm friends with your entire family. I coached and taught, and your older sister was a student assistant, and then I coached your younger sister. I know your mom and dad. They're excellent parents. So you think she would have interrogated you?
Interrogate's a bit dramatic, but
okay. I just wanted to clear that up.
I think just because I hadn't come out to a lot of people yet, I wasn't ready to have the conversation of letting everything out on the table just quite yet, but I wanted her to know. So not interrogation, but I wasn't ready for the conversation.
You wanted people to know, but you didn't want questions.
Yes.
I think, and I've learned a lot from many former students who have come out to me at various points, and learning how to be supportive while actually I've pretty much learned to just kind of shut up and listen. That seems to be what students want from adults sometimes, a safe place to listen, and questions can kind of threaten that environment maybe. So you told your mom. When did your older sister find out?
My older sister found out winter break, so December, January of this year.
Okay, and then you said more family know, and then I guess you're fully out now.
Well, I'm on Facebook Live, so yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so hello everyone on Facebook Live. Okay. So I know that you know, the whole thing is about, you know, having a at lunch, you started talking about Don't Say Gay. And that's really why I listened really hard. And that's why I asked you afterwards if you know, you wanted to talk about this. Um, so when did you, let's talk about Don't Say Gay in particular. When did you find out about this bill?
I'm not sure when exactly I found out, but I think it was this semester, like early this calendar year. Um I'm not
So during the legislative session, for anyone out there who doesn't know, the legislative session this year started in January and ended in March. The Florida legislature has 60 days per year that they meet to talk about legislation, and that's when Don't Say Gay was proposed and heard and passed. So go ahead. So earlier this year.
yes, and I actually didn't see it firsthand. I was sent it and I thought it was a joke. Like I didn't realize it was real. And it like immediately like affected me. Like it was sent and I called my friend who sent it to me and I was like, what do you mean? Like and she was like, yeah, it was proposed earlier, like a couple weeks ago or something, whatever it was at the time. And I was like immediately hurt. I had never felt like I felt targeted, I think is the word I used when I explained it to you. Because as I mentioned, I didn't tell a lot of people. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity for anyone to judge me or comment to anything like at me specifically. So like seeing the bill and in my own state, which um, I just never expected it. It's disappointing.
So you were still mainly not, you're still not out.
Mhm.
Do you think whether you were out or not out would have affected how you felt about the bill? Did it
Um,
make it worse or easier
I
or just different?
just different. I think if I were out already, I wouldn't have felt that initial like wall of judgment almost. Um, because it wasn't the first time I felt like a victim to something. And but had I been out, I I feel like it would have been maybe more normalized because I am in a conservative area. And public schools are brutal. So um, I don't know if it would have made it worse or better, but it was different.
Okay. Now, I was up in Tallahassee, and a number of people were up there fighting against this bill. And a lot of the time, the legislators who proposed the bill and the governor who signed the bill, they say that you know how you know your reaction is not to what the bill said. The bill just wanted to you know, not teach about or not sexualize children in pre-K through third grades, which everyone agrees we shouldn't do, and it doesn't get done in public schools. So if that's what the bill said, why did you feel hurt?
Um, I think it's interesting that the legislators say that instead of listening because the legislators aren't the one the bills apply to. And um, I think the wording, I could be wrong, so you can correct me, but I believe that the wording makes it so that as long as they find it inappropriate at any age, it can be restricted. And I don't know where I saw it, but I believe that either middle school or high school teachers have already been fired based off of it for like some art project about pride flags, I believe. And to see that they use that as their backup, as it's only going to be preschool through 3rd grade, and then prove to us that it's not, is frustrating. Because even in the spaces with young children, the existence of LGBTQIA plus members should be normalized, because those kids, some of them are part of the LGBTQIA community, and even if they're not, respecting someone's existence should be taught at a young age, because that is how hate is taught. Learning that it's okay to discriminate, it's okay to turn people away, it's okay to not treat them the same just because they love someone of their own gender or they're transgender or whatever the case may be. It's pathetic. So it says K-3, but it applies to everybody.
So you're right on the wording that, age appropriate at all grade levels. I've seen the story about the art teacher. This bill has not taken effect yet, although there have been some actions by school districts and schools to get ready for it. I don't think the art teacher was fired specifically because of this bill, but I think it's related, like you said.
I think if this is happening before the bill has been put into action, it's only showing the preview of what it's going to lead to.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a point and I lost it while you're talking. I'll circle back if I remember. So you felt like you're being judged. You felt like you were being targeted. Would you call yourself a victim of this bill?
I would, and that might be dramatic, but I that's how I feel.
So if that's what you're feeling, how did these feelings manifest themselves? Like, it's one thing to like, oh, I feel bad, sticks and stones might break my bones, but you could call me names, but it doesn't affect me. But we know that's not true. How did these feelings manifest themselves in actual things that were going on in your life?
It created like immense stress. Especially like, honestly, it went through phases. Like when I first heard about it, it made me very overwhelmed. Just to know that it was happening and that it could happen. And then once it was passed, that was a really hard week for me. Sorry.
Okay. If you want to stop, we can stop.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
It just didn't feel real. Like I knew that stuff like that existed and that like people were that awful, but I never expected it to sorry. To affect me until it did. And so with all that like stress and everything, like constant state of overwhelmingness, it affected a lot of my relationships. I feel really bad because there's a lot of friends that I do like love and everything, but I started to gravitate more towards the ones that I was out to and the ones I did feel safe and accepted around, and I didn't have to explain myself. And like, because I could have conversation with them. So I was gravitating to them more. And my school also was affected. I think if you want to, you can explain it because I have a hard time explaining it. But school hit a back burner. It's hard for me to prioritize it when I felt like I was going through a lot. And like as a this last semester, my grades have dropped and my attendance the past couple weeks has dropped. But overall, I just was on a decline for a bit. And sorry.
No, I just want to let everyone out there in Facebook Live land know that you declined all the way to what, 17 out of a class of 750?
Either 16 or 17, yeah.
Okay, so I guess the point I'm trying to make is, like, you're a great kid, you're a great student. And when I was listening to you at lunch and you're talking about this and you're like, you know, I don't know, my grades, I couldn't focus. What I tried to explain to you, I gotta, you know, teach you again, is and we talk about this with the caucus all the time. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you know, if students down at the bottom are your basic physical needs like food and shelter. And we talk about this all the time because there are a number of homeless students. There are students who go hungry. They only eat at school. And you know, a hungry kid or a kid who's wondering where they're going to sleep, whose couch they're going to surf that night, they're not going to learn. But right above the physical needs are safety needs. And a you know, everyone needs to feel safe in their environment, whether it's at home, at school, with friends. And if you don't feel safe, you can't work your way up Maslow's hierarchy to cognitive needs and learning. And I think what a lot of people, and especially the politicians who wrote the bill and passed it and signed it into law, you know, they just don't understand or they don't care about Maslow. And when you make students feel unsafe because they feel targeted, then they're not going to learn. And you know, they're not going to go to school because they don't feel safe. And there's statistics that that back that up. So so you're stressed out, you know, school was not a place you wanted to be. Did it get better, or do you still feel that way?
It's gotten better, but not recovered completely. I think once like the actual like workload of the classes eased up a bit, it was easier to get back into like doing assignments and everything. Because I'm a senior, so I already had my last day of school, and so we were just focused on exams for the past couple of weeks. But before then, it was difficult to balance all my workload with both dual enrollment and AP classes on top of what was going on.
Did any of your teachers say, hey, what's up? I noticed you've been struggling, or you seem upset or stressed out lately. Did anyone notice?
No.
So you kept that inside?
Yes.
My wife, the school counselor, I'm sure she might jump in and talk about keeping things inside, but she's upstairs. So you mentioned you're graduating this year. Why do you care about all this? You're leaving it all behind, right?
I care because I mentioned earlier that small space that I had found where I felt comfortable and safe to talk about it. It was the thing that I think helped me grow the most and helped me feel comfortable enough to talk to okay. I say Peyton was the first one to know. I had mentioned it to them. I had mentioned it before to a few classmates my junior year through dual enrollment, because no matter what they thought, I wouldn't see them again after like a month. And so I mentioned it to them, I think as early as like September. And had I not found them and been able to talk to them and feel heard and understood, more importantly, I don't think I would have come out this year at all. I wasn't planning on coming out until after I graduated. So I think that it was literally only 2 other people, even having just that helped a lot. And to imagine future students not being able to have that opportunity and have that space, because not everyone has a loving and accepting home. So for them to not have a place to go, I just don't know what I would have done. So to know that that's happening to other students is hard.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just cry together. I remember at lunch just listening to you, and I could hear the hurt in your voice and see it in your eyes. And you're such an awesome person that you would, after 6 years later, you're willing to come on with a former teacher and go on Facebook Live to tell your story in order to help other people who you might not even know. I think that just proves everything I raved about in your college recommendation letter. Now, here's a question, and for everyone out there on Facebook, and one of our board members, Stephanie Vanos, she's the one in the background. She's been monitoring Facebook, and she's been sending some questions for Morgan to me. So if you're still out there and you're still listening, if you want to ask a question, type it into the chat, type it under the live stream, and then Stephanie's going to screen those and get those to us, and then Morgan can answer them if she'd like at the end. So keep sending those questions in. So kind of similar to why do you care, Morgan? Like, what do you want to major in college?
Either biology or biomedical sciences.
Okay, so not political science. You're not like a political science junkie who like your sole goal in life is to be an activist to make things better. You want to you want to go into medicine or something like that. So do you consider yourself political as a soon to graduate high school senior?
Not very, with the exception of topics I'm passionate about. Earlier this year, we bumped into each other at a school board meeting where we both spoke about mask mandates. And then again with this topic and with the Don't Say Gay bill, I feel passionately about. But in general, no, I would not consider myself very political.
But this matters that much to you that you're willing to tell your story. This issue matters that much.
Yes.
Okay. So probably my last question. You've got a platform here. Speak to the adults who are out there. What do you want adults to know? What do you want politicians to know, teachers to know, not your parents specifically, but parents in general to know?
I'll do politicians first and then everyone else will group together. I want legislators and politicians to know that the laws that they make affect people, and to not think about or not care about how that will affect all students or all people that it's going to affect is cruel. And like with this bill specifically, to restrict or limit or erase the LGBTQ existence and experience is it's hateful. And to not see that while you're making these bills, and to not see that when doing your job, is so disappointing. And I plead that you take a step back and see what you're doing to the community. To the rest of adults, including teachers and parents, I would say that the small things do matter. My mom's always mentioned for years before I came out to her, that she would love and accept us if we were gay or anything of that sort. And the other teacher, I mentioned there's two of you, he was my previous chem teacher, and he had this, it was a rainbow prism visibility sticker at his door when you entered the room. And I told him, because I also got a recommendation letter from him, that like I never spoke to him before that about my sexuality, before I asked for the recommendation letter. Just having that small thing and being personable and everything made a huge difference and made me feel safe and comfortable in class, at school. And it created a space where I felt like I could be myself. And that is huge. So that is my takeaway.
Okay. I think we're about done. I think we maybe, unless you have something else,
Yeah.
we could go to Facebook questions. You do have something else?
Well, I wanted to ask you a question. Why do you care so much about this bill?
Do you want the answer from Mr. H, the former naval officer who swore an oath to the Constitution, who turned into a civics teacher and a education advocate? Or do you want the answer as Morgan's former teacher and mentor and coach?
Both.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
So look, and I taught you this, the Florida Constitution in Article 9 says that all children residing in Florida should have a efficient and uniform, safe and secure, high quality, free public education. So to me, safe and secure means that all students should feel welcome. And that's what the Florida Constitution says. So any bill like Don't Say Gay, personally, it's unconstitutional in my view. And it's just plain wrong. If you want the answer as your former teacher, coach, mentor, do you remember the note I handed out to all my students at the end of the year? And I always said this to the Lady Bolts at the end of track season. Remember what I put in that?
I do not.
So I told all my students that you were my sailors. Sorry, you were my sailors for life, and no one messes with my sailors. No one messes with my Lady Bolts. So what hurts you becomes my to-do list. So that's why I care. Same reasons you do. Make it better for everyone. But excuse me. Yeah. Okay. So Stephanie's on the line. She's been sending the questions to me. Let me go through the list I have, and then Stephanie, jump in if there are more that I don't know. And if you're still out there, we got about 15 minutes. You could ask some questions. So I think some of these you might have answered. The first one, did you come out to trusted adults first before classmates?
No. I have found it since starting my coming out process. I found it easier to tell people who relate to me, because I know, and it's been proven from my experience, that they do understand, and it's a common ground between us. So although the trusted adults and having that like higher person to go to is nice and helpful, I found it easier to go to students.
Okay. The next question, and I think this is what I was thinking about asking and then forgot, maybe a little different, but the question is, have teachers shown bias that make them untrustworthy? So what is it about other teachers? What do they do, or is it well, I'll ask the question the way it was asked. Have teachers shown bias that make them untrustworthy?
I guess not so much in my in the teachers I've had. Looking back, there are teachers that if I had them now, I would probably tell, but considering the time it was, I didn't. But there's also the opposite. There are teachers that I had and currently have that I, based on the way that they've acted and communicated with students in the past, I would not feel comfortable or safe to open up that topic of conversation.
Okay. I know the answer to this, but I'll ask the question. Did your school participate in the protest? And I assume that's the Don't Say Gay protest that occurred around the state of Florida.
No, did not.
Why not?
I don't know.
Is there a GSA at Newsom?
Yes.
Are you a member?
I am not a member. I actually learned about its existence earlier this year. So no.
Okay.
It's not publicized, I believe, at all. I mean, I don't stay the whole day, so there might be more coverage at it at like lunch or at the club fair or whatever, but not that I've seen.
Okay. And the last question I have so far is, do you have some supports other than your peers?
Now I do, but I still mostly rely on them.
Do you want do do you still feel that you're lacking some sort of support?
I didn't tell you this, but right before the Zoom, I sent a text to the entirety of my extended family that I keep in contact with. And I came out to them, let them know about this interview, and I only got positive feedback. So I, like right before I came up here to set my computer up, my grandma came in and hugged me, and it was like an overwhelming amount of just like relief to know that the family that surrounds me loves me and doesn't judge me for that. And I wasn't expecting that completely. So yes, I feel supported, but it's a new feeling.
That's good. New things, new support is good. And come on, you knew your family would support you. You've got an awesome family.
I do.
Yeah. Stephanie, is there anything else on Facebook?
I think you covered everything.
Okay. So, Morgan, oh my God, you are awesome. You are brave. I'm honored to know you, and I was honored to be someone that you trusted and confided, and thank you for sharing your story with everyone. I think it'll make a difference in other people's lives, maybe in students' lives, maybe in teachers who might be listening. Maybe they'll become more supportive. Maybe politicians, hope, and even family members. So you're awesome. Thank you for letting me participate in this. And I'll give you one last word.
Oh, I was not ready for this.
Okay, if O is your last word, then we can make it O, and I'll end the live stream. I know I'm springing it on you.
No, just thank you for having me, and to all the people who tuned in, thank you. This year has been quite rough for me. So to have this and the amount of people that will come and listen means a lot. So thank you.
Okay. Well, hang on. I'm going to end the live stream. Everyone out there in Facebook land, think about what Morgan said. Think about how we could better support all of our students and all of our public schools. If you like this event, we're going to do more different topics, different candidates. Follow our Facebook page, follow our website, follow our Mobilize link. Yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in.